The year I was flat broke, I took $20,000 to pretend to be a socialite for a blind date. On the day of the date, the guy offered me $100,000 to be his fake girlfriend. I had 3 months until graduation. Screw it, I thought. Time for a double cross. Today's mission was simple. All I had to do was meet Julian Thorne at a fancy restaurant and turn him down. But my schedule was tight. The second this was over, I had to rush to a tutoring session. I hastily parked the bike share ride in front of the restaurant, hit the temporary lock button on the app, and went inside. Julian was sitting at a window table on the second floor. The sunlight hit his face just right, making him look like some kind of golden god. I didn't have time to admire his divine beauty. I was about to launch into my pre-rehearsed rejection speech. But Julian looked up, beating me to the punch. His first sentence, "You're Mandy?" His second, "How about I give you $100,000 to be my fake girlfriend?" Those 2 sentences completely fried my brain. I forgot every word I was supposed to say. My stupid mouth, failing me as usual, stammered, "Are we talking US dollars?" Julian's reasoning was solid. He didn't want to be set up on dates. But his parents loved Mandy's background and social standing. To avoid any more blind dates, he needed a shield. My bike share app buzzed, telling me I was now being charged for the next time block. But my feet were glued to the floor by the sheer amount of money on the table. I should have said no. But he was offering so much. I had 3 months until graduation. That meant if I could just survive this semester without getting caught, I'd be in the clear. Fortune favors the bold, right? I took a deep breath. Deal. I'd heard of Julian Thorne. The campus heartthrob from the art school next door. Aloof, handsome. And rich. Very, very rich. Unsurprisingly for a rich guy, the money transfer was incredibly fast. $100,000 zipped into my account. He even thoughtfully added a note, "Voluntary gift." Seeing that I'd accepted the money, he stood up decisively. "I have to go." I thought my first day on the job might involve some other duties. Apparently, this girlfriend thing was just a title. Fine by me. At least it wouldn't interfere with my other gigs. I scrambled to follow my new boyfriend downstairs, just in time to hear a waiter complaining. "Who parked a bike share right here? Don't they know you can't leave them in front of the entrance?" My heart skipped a beat. I was about to walk over and apologize. Julian shot me a puzzled look, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "Is that yours?" It hit me like a ton of bricks. What kind of rich girl rides a bike share? I shook my head instantly. Of course not. I don't even know how to ride a bike. I figured. His voice was cool. "Where are you headed next?" "The West End Villas." At that, Julian paused again. "I thought your family lived in the North Hills." Crap, I forgot about that detail. I'm going to my cousin's place," I stammered. Julian didn't seem suspicious. "Want a ride?" No, that's okay," I said, waving him off. He didn't insist. With a roar of its engine, his sports car vanished down the street. Once I was sure he was gone, I slowly crossed the street. I retrieved the bike the waiter had just moved. Then I sneakily checked my bank balance again. I pinched myself. Hard. Ow. It wasn't a dream. I wasn't totally lying earlier. The villa I was heading to really was Mandy's cousin's house. I pedaled so fast the wheels were practically smoking, finally making it to the villa right on time. I walked in to find the real Mandy lounging on the living room sofa, eating potato chips. She saw me and immediately asked, "So? Did you meet him?" I did. "And? What's he like?" I felt a little guilty. "He's good looking. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider?" Mandy laughed like I'd just told the world's funniest joke. "Don't let his looks fool you. Do you know why his family is forcing him into these dates?" I shook my head. Julian has a first love, the one that got away. Apparently, she didn't come from money. He was head over heels for her, but his family disapproved and paid her off to study abroad. He and his parents almost completely cut ties over it. Now his ex is about to graduate, and they're terrified he'll go running back to her, so they're casting a wide net, trying to set him up with any rich girl they can find. I had no idea that was the backstory. No wonder he was willing to pay so much for a fake girlfriend to act as a decoy. As if that wasn't enough, Mandy kept ranting. Besides, even if he didn't have a first love, I wouldn't want him. He's a complete fool. He's famous for losing a fortune at cards. They call him the human ATM. If it weren't for his art scholarship, he wouldn't have even gotten into college. What good is being handsome? He's as dumb as my cousin Carter. Carter was Mandy's cousin. Just as she said his name, a guy walked out of a room. He was 6 feet 2 inches with broad shoulders, long legs, and a killer bod. His face was so handsome it looked like it was lifted from a painting. He heard her and immediately blew up. You think you're so smart? If my uncle hadn't donated a new building, you think you'd be in college? At least my dad's donation worked. With your grades, even a rocket couldn't launch you into a university. It was only after I got to know Mandy that I learned about it. It was like her family was under some kind of genetic curse. They were all stunningly beautiful, but their brains were a bit of a tragedy. Soon after the semester started, Mandy found out I was the state valedictorian and insisted we become best friends. I later realized that while she wasn't a genius, she was drawn to intelligent people. She'd sworn she would marry a guy with a high IQ to improve her family's gene pool. Seeing the two cousins about to start another fight, I quickly stood up. It's getting late. Let's start the lesson. I hurried Carter into the study. As we walked in, my phone buzzed twice. A message from Julian, accept my friend request. I realized then that he'd sent one at some point. I quickly accepted, changing his contact name to my 100K sugar daddy. Carter leaned over my shoulder like a nosy puppy. Who's that? A classmate. A guy? I tapped his head with my pen. What's it to you? He looked a little disappointed. So it is a guy. Wait, don't tell me it's your boyfriend? No, my cousin said you're too busy for that. So just a friend? Who is he? To be friends with you, he must be smart, right? His tone was a little passive-aggressive. Why are you asking? Just curious. I thought for a moment. I hear he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. The boy let out a sigh of relief. That's great. Me neither. Was that something to be proud of? I ignored him and opened the textbook, ready to start. Carter scratched his cheek and spoke up again. Summer, do you think if I really try, I could get into a school like yours? I looked down at his test papers, a 24 in math, an 18 in physics, and a 9 in chemistry. I decided it was best not to say anything. I was afraid if I was too honest, his family wouldn't pay me. After Julian added me, he didn't contact me at all. We met again 3 days later. He suddenly sent me an address. Meet me here. 7 p.m. I looked it up. It was a bar nearby. I'd never been to a place like that in my life. I did some research online before I went, but I was still nervous. Mainly because I was so used to being poor, I was scared I'd blow my cover. But when I got to the private room, a group of people were playing mahjong. Julian was sitting at the far end of the table, a lollipop stick hanging out of his mouth. He glanced up when I came in but didn't even say hello. He just discarded a tile when the player next to him yelled, all one suit with triplets, thanks, Jules. Julian's expression soured even more. Seeing that he had no intention of talking to me, I quietly pulled up a chair and sat next to him. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. His mahjong skills were atrocious. He was basically playing blind. In 3 rounds, he lost $10,000. I was starting to feel bad for him. When he was about to play right into someone's hand again, I couldn't help myself. Don't you know the player after you is waiting for an east wind? He froze. No. Look at the tiles he's discarded. It's obvious the guy across from you needs circles, the guy after you needs winds, and the guy before you needs characters. You're not even close to a winning hand yet. There's no need to risk giving someone the win. Just wait for the next round. You play mahjong? I don't. But I know math. Julian stood up. You try. I demurred. I'm really not very good. You keep what you win. I'll cover what you lose. Well, if you put it that way. I wasn't tired anymore. At first, the others didn't take me seriously. But when I'd won almost all the money on the table, they started complaining. Come on, Julian, you can't bring a ringer. The guy who'd been so cocky earlier was now leaning back in his chair, a smug look on his face. Ringer my ass. This is my girlfriend. Hearing that, everyone's expression changed. No wonder. So this is the missus. Damn, Julian, you've been holding out on us. With a brain like that, she must have gone to Harvard or Yale. To be fair. They were right. But I couldn't admit it. I just shook my head humbly. A girl suddenly piped up, so, who's smarter, her or your ex? The room went silent. Julian's face darkened. The girl didn't seem to notice the shift in atmosphere and looked right at me. I remember Anna placed 73rd in the state physics competition, got a 1480 on her SATs, and scored a 7 on the IELTS. I thought she was going to say something impressive. I can tolerate a lot of things, but I can't stand it when some amateur tries to compare grades with me. I got carried away. Ever hear of the National Math Olympiad? I won first place and got a full ride to Harvard. But I'm not really a STEM person, so I scored a 1580 on the SATs and chose to go to Yale instead. My spoken English is just okay, so I only got an 8 on the IELTS without studying. But I'm a patriot, you know? Just took it for fun. After I finished, the room was dead silent. Except for Julian, whose expression was a whirlwind of emotions. As we were leaving, Julian finally asked me. Was what you said back there true? I've never heard your dad mention any of that. That's when I realized what a mess I'd made. Actually, I stammered, I have a friend who. I'm so sorry, I just got carried away. The light in Julian's eyes seemed to die out. Right, he said, reverting to his cool guy persona. He stuffed his hands in his pockets. Are you short on cash lately? Huh? Why are you dressed so? Plainly. I looked down at my outfit. A white t-shirt and jeans. It was fine, wasn't it? But I didn't dare argue, just mumbled an uh-huh. He frowned. Did you get in a fight with your dad? Yeah. Whatever. If you need money, just tell me. That part one understood. I nodded eagerly. That night, on my way back to the dorm, Julian, who had never initiated a conversation before, suddenly texted me. You up? I replied immediately. Yeah. Then, he sent me a link. I clicked on it. It was a math problem. What's the answer? It's 32. You know how to do this? I thought to myself, isn't this a high school Olympiad problem? I knew how to do this in middle school. But then it occurred to me that maybe Julian was asking for a younger relative. After all, this was the first challenge my benefactor had given me. I had to take it seriously. So I got out of bed, took out a notebook, and wrote out the derivation. I even thoughtfully included 3 different methods. See attached. The last method is the simplest. A long moment passed before Julian replied. Got it. Good night. So. Was he satisfied or not? I never expected the job to start faster than I could blink. The next morning, Julian texted me, free this afternoon? Come to the supermarket with me. I wondered what kind of grown man needed company to go to the supermarket. Before I could reply, another message popped up. I'll buy you some stuff too. Okay, no problem. To score some points with my new boss, I stealthily added, see you this afternoon, boyfriend. After I sent it, the indicator showed he was typing. I waited a long time, but no reply came. Finally, he deigned to respond with a simple, K. Followed by, girlfriend. It was less me accompanying Julian to the supermarket and more him accompanying me. He tossed a couple of beers into the cart and then trailed behind me, looking completely bored. It made me feel awkward about shopping, so I just grabbed a couple of bags of chips and called it a day. He looked at my choices with disgust. Is that all you're getting? That's not even $100. I glanced at the cart. It is. It's 131.20. How do you know that? His question threw me. Is it possible that I know how to do math? Julian was intrigued. He threw a few more bags of snacks into the cart. And now, 210.50. Then Julian started grabbing a ton of stuff. Can you still calculate it now? Was he using me as a human calculator? I was getting annoyed. 732.30. Julian didn't stop until the cart was overflowing. Then he took me to the checkout. The total was 2,712.70. Exactly what I'd calculated in my head. As we left the supermarket, the way Julian looked at me had completely changed. There was shock, mixed with admiration. And in that admiration, there was a hint of confusion. I immediately realized I'd overdone it again. I quickly tried to backtrack. I'm just really good with numbers. My other grades are terrible. In my senior year of high school, I got a 9 on my chemistry final. Thank God, the rich boy wasn't a genius. He was immediately convinced. Me too. I was only ever interested in art. My other subjects were pretty average. I'd seen Julian's high school transcripts. They were on par with Carter's. Calling them average was an extreme understatement. But I wasn't stupid enough to call out my boss, so I just nodded like a suck-up. Boring academic subjects would only stifle your imagination. How can an artist's talent be corrupted by knowledge? 1,000 gold coins are easy to come by, but a true friend is hard to find. Looking at the kindred spirit in Julian's eyes, I knew my flattery had hit the mark. Sure enough, the next second, he awkwardly held out his right hand. This hand feels kind of empty. Julian and I were each carrying a bag. His was heavy, mine was relatively light. But it was still digging into my hand. I got the hint and immediately placed the bag from my hand into his empty right one. I didn't forget to lay it on thick. Wow, you can tell you're an artist who holds a brush all the time. Your grip is so strong. Julian's expression froze for a second, then he smirked. You flatter me. But no matter how strong my grip is, it's not as audacious as you are. After that day, Julian started texting me a lot more often. But I'm not the type to be glued to my phone. He'd often send a message in the morning, and I wouldn't see it until the afternoon. This did not please my boss. Is this how you used to treat your boyfriends? I've never had a boyfriend before. After I said that, Julian's expression seemed to brighten. Is that so? Well, I'll forgive you this time. But let me lay down the rules. Since you're my fake girlfriend, we have to see each other at least 3 times a week. 3 days on, 4 days off. I nodded. Seemed reasonable. And from now on, you have to set my messages to a special notification. You have to reply instantly. Respond to the boss immediately. I nodded again. Also reasonable. Anything else? I'll write it all down. Seeing my cooperative attitude, he cleared his throat. Also, have you, seen how other couples act? I nodded. Then he held his hand out toward me. You know what kind of physical stuff couples do, right? He hinted. I'm not trying to force you or anything, I'm just worried someone we know might see us and get suspicious. Before he could finish, I stood on my toes and kissed him. His lips were soft, like Jell-O. Julian froze for a second, then his cheeks flushed beet red. Is this the physical stuff you were talking about? I licked my dry lips. It's not forcing. I'm okay with it. Besides, he was a pretty good kisser. Julian's mouth opened and closed. He turned his head, avoiding my eyes. Yeah, this is it. He scratched the back of his neck. Good. Glad you're okay with it. After the civil service exam, I had a lot of free time. Besides tutoring Carter, I spent almost all my time with Julian. During the day, he'd paint in his studio, and I'd curl up on the sofa next to him and read. The studio had air conditioning and was quiet, way more comfortable than the library. One day I fell asleep. When I woke up, I saw Julian sitting at his easel, just staring at me. The moment my eyes opened, he sneakily covered his canvas. I felt a little curious and leaned in to see. What are you painting? A nude. A man. Are you interested? I immediately thought of all those debunk posts I'd seen online. The models for life drawing were almost always old men. I quickly shook my head. You can enjoy that one by yourself. I was spending so much time with Julian that even Mandy started calling to complain. I thought senior year was supposed to be chill. How come you seem busier than ever? But as busy as I was, Mandy was even busier. She was trying to win over a graduate student. He was in the physics department at her university. I'd met him once. He was decent looking, but maybe he'd done too much research, because he had this faint aura of death about him. A person who's never passed a physics test with more than a 30 is dating a genius. Can you have some self-awareness? During our lesson that day, Carter brought it up again, his eyes full of scorn. I disagreed. Love isn't an academic pursuit. It has nothing to do with grades. Suddenly, Carter's expression turned strange and a little coy. So you're not against it? Of course not. After that, Carter went quiet. He'd just stare at me with this thoughtful look on his face, occasionally letting out a little laugh to himself, like he was possessed. After the lesson, I was supposed to go to Julian's studio. But just as I was about to leave, I got a message from him saying something had come up. It's my friend's little brother's buddy. He's planning to confess his love to his crush after graduation, and he's gathered a bunch of us for advice. He made a tisk sound. Kid hasn't even hit puberty and he's already trying to date. I wanted to say, didn't you date in high school and get dumped? But I didn't dare. With Julian busy, though, it gave me a chance to see Mandy. That evening, I went to find her with a stack of notebooks. She'd asked me to borrow them for her a while back. Why did you want to read my major's textbooks? At my question, Mandy's eyes darted around. Well, you know I'm dating a genius. I'm having some serious imposter syndrome, so I thought I should study up. Then she waved her hands dismissively. Let's not talk about that. By the way, did you hear Julian's dating someone now? My heart clenched. Mandy sneered. It's so cringe. I heard he posts on his story like 8 times a day showing her off. I don't know who could be so blind as to fall for him. He was posting on social media. How did I not know that? As I was wondering, Mandy leaned in and lowered her voice. But I heard his first love is coming back next month. Heh, things are about to get interesting. Just then, my phone vibrated. Speak of the devil. Guess who I'm with right now? You'd never believe it. I sent back a question mark. The typing indicator appeared, then disappeared. Never mind. Promised the kid I'd keep it a secret. You'll find out eventually. I didn't think much of it and went to check his social media feed. There was nothing there. Did he block me? I felt a pang of disappointment, but then I remembered that at the end of the day, our relationship was purely transactional, and I let it go. I calculated when his ex would be back. By then, I'd be about to graduate and leave. We probably wouldn't have any contact ever again. After that day, Julian really did get invested in this other guy's love confession. He joined some confession planning group and was giving advice all day long. Today, he even offered up his family's villa as the venue. Listening to him send voice messages, I was a little surprised. The Thorns were fabulously wealthy. While the Johnstons had money, comparing them was like the difference between old money and the nouveau riche. This made Julian a bit arrogant at his core. He didn't seem like the type to be so enthusiastic about helping someone. This time is different. My confusion must have been obvious, because Julian explained, legs crossed, "This is for my future little brother. We might be family one day." He looked at me, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. It gave me goosebumps. But it did remind me of something. I pulled a small red sachet out of my pocket. "By the way, this is for you." "What is it?" "A good luck charm. I got it for you at a temple. It's not expensive, but I heard the temple is pretty effective. I hope all your wishes come true." It was kind of a coincidence. Last week, Mandy dragged me to a temple to pray for her love life, and I saw these sachets for sale and bought a couple on a whim. One of them was for Julian. I figured my service was about to end, so this could be a thank you gift for his generous payment. Julian was taken aback, probably not expecting me to buy him anything. He took it, looked it over, and couldn't stop the corners of his mouth from turning up. "Is a little good luck charm all I get for my birthday? Isn't that a bit cheap?" "His birthday? When was that?" My cheeks flushed. "Well, I can get you a different gift." Julian quickly raised his hand. "No, this is fine. You already went to the trouble of praying for me. What can I do?" He fiddled with his ear, which was turning red. "I'll take it as a sign of your sincerity." I listened for a while but didn't really understand what he meant. But he seemed to like it, so I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. The other charm was for Carter. The SATs were just a few days away, and he was clearly getting nervous. During our last tutoring session, I gave it to him after we finished. Originally, I wanted to pray for success on his exams, but then I worried that might be too much to ask of the gods, so I got him a "May all your wishes come true" charm instead. May all your wishes come true. Does that mean anything I wish for will happen? I guess so. Carter's face turned bright red. "So if I invite you to my graduation party, will you come?" He quickly added, "That's my wish." I hadn't expected the kid to be so clever as to use his wish on this. But now I felt like if I said no, it would make my gift seem insincere. So I nodded. "Good luck on your exams." "I'll be there." With a sudden downpour, the whirlwind of college entrance exams finally came to an end. That night, Carter sent me an invitation to his party, telling me I absolutely had to be there. Before I left, I called Mandy, and she exploded. "What graduation party? Why didn't I know about this?" With Carter's grades, a dog would spit at them. What is there to celebrate? Don't move. I'm coming over now to go with you. I want to see what that idiot is up to. The party was at a standalone villa in the city center. The closer we got, the more Mandy's suspicion grew. "I don't remember my aunt and uncle buying a house here." She explained, "The people who live here are all super rich and powerful. The Lynns have money, but not enough to get into this neighborhood." As we were wondering, the main gate opened. In the middle of summer, Carter was standing at the door in a three-piece suit. "Summer, you're here." Mandy, standing next to me, burst out laughing. "Carter, you look like a little bellhop." Carter's face fell. "Who invited you?" "I didn't. I go where I please. I don't care if you welcome me or not." She took my hand and led me inside, looking at the elaborate floral arrangements in the two-story living room. "Wow, Carter, you've really outdone yourself. You may suck at school, but you've got some impressive friends. Whose house is this?" "It's gorgeous." "It's mine." A familiar voice gave me a very bad feeling. I turned stiffly and saw Julian walking towards us, a smile in his eyes. Carter ran over to him like he'd found his savior. "Bro, can you please control my sister?" "Bro?" Mandy exploded again. "Carter, who are you calling bro?" I silently took 2 steps back. Suddenly, my right hand was grabbed. "Miss Lynn," Julian said. "Care to explain?" The social death was swift and brutal. This wasn't a graduation party. It was an ambush. Carter was still clueless. "Bro, you know Summer?" "Carter, did you get your brain kicked by a horse?" "My boyfriend is a master's student at Yale, okay? I'd have to be blind to fall for him." "Oh, right." Carter slapped his forehead and looked at Julian. "Then who are you?" Julian glanced at Carter, his eyes narrowing as he spotted the good luck charm in Carter's pocket. He reached out and snatched it. "What's this?" "Hey, what are you doing?" "Summer gave that to me." Julian ignored him, his long fingers turning the sachet over. He pressed his tongue against his cheek. "You gave him this?" My face was pale, but I still nodded. Even the good luck charms are bought in bulk. "Mandy." "No. I should call you Summer, right? Is anything about you real?" 6 pairs of eyes stared at me. My lips were bone dry. That's enough." Mandy, seeing my distress, suddenly stepped forward, shielding me like a righteous hero. "Give it a rest, Julian. You didn't even know who your own girlfriend was. How can you blame someone else for your own stupidity?" Julian let out a bitter laugh. "Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm a goddamn idiot." Someone in the villa, still unaware of the situation, walked over. "What's wrong, Julian?" "The cake is ready in the back." "When should we bring it out?" The guy was wearing a headband. It had 3 words on it: "Say yes to him." The fluorescent green letters blinked on and off. A vein throbbed in Julian's temple. He ripped the headband off and threw it on the floor. "All of you, get out." The ride back was silent. Mandy sat next to me. I was so embarrassed I had no idea how to face her and her cousin. "Mandy, I'm so sorry." She waved her hands frantically. It's okay. I was the one who asked you to go on the date in the first place. It was my idea, really." I lowered my head, my eyes turning red. Mandy cupped my face, her voice gentle. "Summer, it's really okay. Besides, I know your situation. Why would I blame you? It wasn't that big of a deal, really. I was just a girl who grew up in a poor, rural area. I couldn't afford school, so a charity program sponsored me all the way through college. Recently, there was a flood back home. My elementary school was washed away. The school couldn't afford to rebuild, and the district was planning to just merge a few schools together. Our area already had scarce educational resources. Now, the kids who wanted to study would have to travel even farther. The $100,000 I scammed from Julian, I donated every last cent to rebuild the school. The school was saved, but my lie was out in the open. I shook my head at Mandy. I knew in my heart that lying was lying. No excuse could cover up the fact that I'd made a mistake. But I didn't regret it. If I could go back in time, I'd probably do the same thing. Seeing my crestfallen expression, Mandy fidgeted with her fingers and suddenly said, "Actually, I lied to you about something too." You know how I was chasing that guy from Yale? Those notebooks were just for show. I was afraid he'd look down on me because of my education, so I stole your identity and told him I went to Harvard. It took me a few seconds to process what Mandy was saying. We looked at each other for a moment, and then, we both burst out laughing. "And now? Does he know?" "I'm too scared to tell him. I think I'm really in love with him." "In love with him?" I paused, thinking, well, that's a problem. I looked down at Julian's contact photo on my phone. A wave of complex emotions threatened to drown me. My finger hovered over his chat window for a long time, but in the end, I didn't send anything. After that day, Julian never contacted me again. He didn't show up, and I didn't dare reach out. It wasn't for any other reason, really. I was just scared he'd ask for his money back. The day of my final thesis defense, my college life officially came to an end. At the same time, I received my acceptance letter for the civil service. I had chosen to return to my hometown. Mandy was sad to see me go. "You're so brilliant. Why won't you stay in the city? Why do you have to go back? What am I going to do if I miss you?" I smiled as I packed my things. "Then you'll just have to come visit me more often." For me, the whole point of getting an education was to one day go back and help more kids get out. Mandy sighed, then remembered something. "By the way, you and Julian. You haven't been in touch, have you?" Hearing his name sent a small pang through my heart. I shook my head, pretending not to care. Mandy hesitated for a moment before telling me. "I heard from someone that he's not doing well lately. He's irritable, angrier, even more withdrawn than before. He doesn't even play mahjong anymore, just locks himself in his studio all day. Even though he's a total idiot, I feel like he was pretty serious about you." Summer, I confessed everything to my boyfriend a while ago. He was upset, but he forgave me. I don't think Julian is a petty person. Why don't you just go talk to him and clear the air? With that, Mandy sent me a few screenshots. Remember how I was complaining about Julian's cringy posts? This is what his friend sent me a while back. You should see them. I opened them. They were all posts Julian had made during our relationship. March 7th. A picture of a shopping cart. Caption: "Whose girlfriend can calculate the total just by looking?" Oh, right. Mine can. May 9th. A photo of my back. Caption: "TSK, what do you expect from an artist's girlfriend? Even her back is a work of art." June 1st. A picture of the good luck charm. Caption: "My girl went straight to the gods to make us official. What can I do? Guess I'll have to spoil her forever." The post stopped there. I twisted the hem of my shirt, letting out a long breath. Mandy was right. I was the one who screwed up. Before I left, I should at least apologize to him. I didn't dare schedule a meeting directly, so I decided to just show up at his studio and wait. It had only been half a month, but coming back now, my state of mind was completely different. I held a cake I'd baked myself as a peace offering. I took a deep breath, about to knock, when I heard voices from inside. "See? Anna has all the power. We've been trying to get Julian to hang out for ages, and he wouldn't budge. The second she's back in the country, boom, the studio doors are wide open." I remembered the name Anna. She was supposed to be Julian's unforgettable first love. My feet froze. I stood outside the door, not moving. Then, a soft, feminine voice laughed. "Don't tease me. I heard in another country that Julian had a new girlfriend. They broke up. He's nursing a broken heart, just waiting for someone to rescue him." After that, Julian's slightly hoarse voice cut in. "How many times do I have to tell you idiots? I'm working on my final project. I don't have time for your nonsense." Right. A little liar isn't worth all this trouble anyway." "Liar? What liar?" "Oh, Anna, you have no idea." I didn't hear the rest. A small, silent smile spread across my face. So the real leading lady was back. Then it was definitely time for this female fraud to exit the stage. I casually dropped the cake I was holding into the trash can by the studio door and walked away, hands in my pockets. On the way back to my hometown, I finally sent Julian a message. "I'll consider the 100,000 a loan. I promise I'll pay you back within 3 years. Again, I sincerely apologize." I'm sorry. Then, without waiting for a reply, I blocked and deleted him. In August, I was assigned to a post in my rural county government. During the public review period, I got a call from my supervisor, telling me someone had filed a complaint against me. The call came from Beijing. They said you're suspected of fraud. Did you make some enemies over there? This isn't a small matter. Maybe you should try to resolve it yourself first. My first thought was Julian. My hands and feet went cold. I already said I'd pay him back. Why was he still doing this to me? Before I tried to contact Julian, I called Mandy. After all, they were in the same circle. Maybe she could smooth things over. Julian did ask me about you, but I ignored him. It was probably that idiot Carter. He's so easy to trick, someone probably got it out of him in 2 seconds. Her voice was furious. Is Julian a complete asshole or what? Doesn't he know ruining someone's career is like killing their parents? It was such a small thing, why can't he just let it go? Summer, don't worry. I'm going to find him right now. If it comes to it, I'll date him myself to pay you back. That really wasn't necessary. But before I could answer, Mandy had already hung up in a huff. After an anxious wait, I got a message from Mandy. Her tone was hesitant. Summer, Julian insists on talking to you personally. How about I give you his number, and you try calling him? Don't worry. If things get bad, I'll have my parents step in. The Thorns still have to give them some face. I didn't want to make things difficult for Mandy. After hanging up, I stared at the number she sent me. I took a deep breath and dialed. Hello, Julian. This is Summer Hale. So you're not hiding anymore? It's a real pain getting you to unblock me. He sighed. Come downstairs. What? I'm downstairs from your dorm. This place is a real nightmare to find. I rushed to the window. Sure enough, a man was standing below. His black car next to him was covered in dust. Julian looked exhausted. It's over 600 miles from here to Beijing, a lot of it through mountains. How angry must he be to drive all this way to settle the score with me? I didn't dare waste a second and ran downstairs. The moment Julian saw me, he raised his hand, and I flinched, squeezing my eyes shut. But his hand just gently rested on the top of my head. All this nerve, and you still resort to lying and cheating? His voice was thick with amusement. I peeked open one eye. Seeing that his expression was relatively relaxed, I cautiously asked, What are you doing here? Collecting a debt. I'll definitely pay you back the 100,000. I'm not here for the money. Right. A rich guy like him wouldn't be short on cash. I felt a wave of despair. Then what do you want? You took my money. Did you finish the job you promised me before you ran off? That's when I remembered. Julian wanted me to be his fake girlfriend to deal with his parents. What do you mean I didn't finish? You have a new girlfriend now. Julian laughed, exasperated. When did I get a new girlfriend? You were with Anna at the studio. I saw you. What did you see? I was suddenly at a loss for words. That day, I hadn't actually seen any proof that they were together. Seeing me go silent, Julian didn't hold back this time, flicking my forehead with his finger. Summer Hale, you lied to me, and now you're acting all wronged? Don't I even have the right to be angry? I don't contact you, so you don't contact me. If I hadn't filed that complaint, you would have never contacted me again, would you? My mouth opened, but no words came out. He was right. I sent you a message. Yeah, you did. You said you'd pay me back, and then you blocked me. This time, I was completely silent. As we stood there at a stalemate, my supervisor drove up. Julian, my boy. When did you get here? I froze, then watched as he strode over and shook Julian's hand. You rascal. Haven't heard from you in years, and the first thing you do is call and threaten to file a complaint. You really scared our little Summer here. Julian snorted. Oh, she's got plenty of nerve. That's when I realized Julian knew my supervisor. The complaint was just a ploy to smoke me out. But this was a poor, remote county. How could they possibly know each other? My head was spinning with questions. After the pleasantries were over, Julian turned back to me. I'll give you another chance. Keep pretending to be my girlfriend. Come home with me to meet my parents, and I'll forgive you. I never would have guessed. After all that, I was on a plane back to Beijing with Julian. That weekend, Julian took me away. As we left, I still hadn't figured it out. He knew I wasn't Mandy, so why did he still want me as his decoy? Was it because his parents wouldn't accept Anna's background, so he decided to just throw gasoline on the fire and find someone with an even worse background to piss them off? My mind raced as I snuck a glance at Julian. He was sitting next to me with his eyes closed, his profile sharp and defined. His eyelashes cast a tiny, fan-like shadow on his eyelids. How had I never noticed how long his eyelashes were? He was like a real-life doll. Checking me out? His voice floated over. I quickly looked away, my cheeks burning. It's fine. I'm your boyfriend now. You're allowed to look. As he said it, his hand found mine and held it. Get used to it. Don't want you blowing our cover in front of my parents. I'd heard about Julian and Anna, how his parents disapproved of her family. This time, I was prepared to be met with cold shoulders and sarcastic remarks. But when we got to the Thorn house, I found it was completely different from what I'd imagined. Julian's mother had none of the arrogance of a wealthy matriarch. She was gentle and warm. You must be Summer. Come in, let me get a good look at you. Oh, you're just beautiful. She immediately pressed a red envelope into my hand. I didn't prepare any other welcome gifts. Take this, it's for good luck. I was stunned and tried to refuse. Julian nodded, signaling for me to accept it. I squeezed it. It felt thin, probably not much money, so I put it in my bag for the time being. At the dinner table, Julian's mom kept putting food on my plate and telling embarrassing stories about him. This boy, Julian, he's been rebellious since he was little. In high school, he tried to have a little romance with the top student in his grade. And you know why? I was immediately intrigued. This had to be about Anna. I shook my head, listening as his mom continued. It was so he could copy her homework. But then his answers were too correct, and the teacher got suspicious. The school even called me in for a disciplinary meeting. I still cringe just thinking about it. How do you not even know how to cheat properly? Julian's face was dark red. He scowled and muttered, Mom. Oh, so now you're embarrassed. The meal was one of the most genuinely happy ones I'd had in a long time. After dinner, as Julian's mom walked me out, she held my hand. When Julian was little, his father and I were always busy with work. He was mostly raised by nannies. By the time we got our careers on track and turned around, he was already grown up and distant from both of us. He's a proud kid. All he ever did was paint in his studio, no other hobbies. It was only after he met you that he started talking more. Every time he comes home, he talks about you with such excitement in his eyes. I know he genuinely likes you. You're both good kids. I don't have any other wishes, really. I just hope you two will be happy together. My eyes welled up. I didn't know how to explain to her that Julian and I weren't what she thought. All I could do was nod numbly. Back at the hotel, I still felt a little strange. I suddenly felt the envelope from Julian's mom in my bag and opened it. Inside was a check. Pathetically, I counted the zeros twice. It was for $250,000. What kind of normal family gives a check when you meet the parents? I frantically grabbed my phone. Julian, where are you? I need to give you your mom's envelope back. It's for you, so just keep it. Do you know how much it is? It's $250,000. Perfect. Aren't you short on cash? No. A long pause. I'm at the studio, he finally said. You know the way. The check felt like a hot potato. I was terrified I'd lose it and never be able to pay it back. I stuffed it in my bag and rushed to find him. I pushed open the studio door. Julian was sitting in the middle of the room. Before I could speak, I stopped dead in my tracks. The studio was filled with paintings, at least a dozen of them, hanging here and there. Canvas after canvas, portrait after portrait. They were all of me. I was stunned. Julian's expression didn't change. You wanted to know what I was painting before. Now you see. An idea sparked in my mind, but it felt so impossible that I pushed it down. You've met my parents. Our contract is over. You don't have to pay back the 100,000. I won't report you again. As of today, we have no relationship. I felt a pang of disappointment, but I couldn't place where this vague, intangible feeling was coming from. I managed a small okay. Before I could say more, Julian walked towards me. His voice was raw, his gaze moist as he looked at me. Summer Hale, I've shown you my entire world. Will you give this a real try with me? And then, I heard my own voice. I said, okay. Epilogue. The first day of our official relationship, I started a long-distance one. On Monday at work, my supervisor came into my office with a grin. So, Summer, is everything all settled? I blushed and nodded. I couldn't help but think about how he'd greeted Julian, so I asked how they knew each other. Oh, Julian. He first came to our county about 10 years ago. My supervisor got lost in thought. He was just a kid back then, came with his parents. They came to fund the construction of several charity schools. Oh, right, the school you went to was on their list of donations. I was stunned. During my lunch break, I called my old principal. It was a long time ago, but he eventually found a dusty old register. On it, clear as day, was my name. The more I looked at it, the more incredible it seemed. I took a picture and sent it to Julian. Julian replied quickly. So our story started all the way back then? The day Julian and I started dating, he posted a photo of us together. Caption, my girlfriend. It immediately got a flood of replies. Oh no, here we go again with the PDA. Dude, try to tone it down this time. Almost immediately after, I got a call from Carter, all the way from another continent. After the SATs, Carter's family had sent him to the US to learn how to fly a plane. His new dream was to be a pilot, and he was currently slogging through an English prep course. The moment I answered, Carter started wailing. Summer, how could you get back together with him? Couldn't you have just waited for me? Before I could say anything, Julian snatched the phone from my hand. Don't you have any respect for your elders? Your teacher is like a father to you. I'd advise you to stop lusting after your own dad. In our second year of dating, Julian moved his studio to my town. My hometown was just a small county, a world away from the conditions in Beijing. At first, I was worried the pampered rich boy would have a hard time adjusting. But he adapted incredibly quickly and soon blended right in. During the day when I was at work, he'd wander around with his sketchbook, calling it gathering inspiration. When I got off work in the evening, we'd go out for dinner or see a movie. We lived a simple life, just like any other couple. A year later, Julian's artwork unexpectedly went viral online. More and more people started paying attention to him. The day he opened his first solo exhibition, Mandy and her boyfriend came. That's right, her boyfriend was still the same master's student from Yale. He was now a PhD candidate and about to become a professor at the university. Mandy told me, Dr. Wu and I got married last week. I'm officially booking you as my maid of honor for the wedding. I was a little surprised, then smiled and congratulated her. Mandy raised an eyebrow at me. And you? Any plans with Julian? I shook my head. We really hadn't thought about it. And I felt like our current state was pretty much the same as being married anyway. But Mandy gave me a sneaky, conspiratorial smile. Is it because Julian isn't that smart, and you're afraid your kids will inherit it? I couldn't help but laugh, lightly swatting her arm and telling her not to talk nonsense. When I got home that night, I noticed Julian was acting strange. He was unusually passionate in bed, and afterward, he was quiet and sullen. I asked him what was wrong for a long time before he finally said, "You won't marry me because you think I'm dumb, don't you?" He continued, "I heard you talking to Mandy today." I burst out laughing and cupped his face in my hands. Has it ever occurred to you that the reason I haven't said yes is because you've never asked? Then I'm asking you now. Marry me. Okay. This time, it was his turn to be stunned. What did you say? I said okay. The years flow by. To choose one person to spend the rest of your life with. For me, it felt just right.